Southampton are having a really tough season. They're going for the record of the worst team in Premier League history. But what if we gave them a little help? We put a literally perfect player on Football Manager on Southampton and see if that can keep them from getting relegated. And we're not off to a hot start because they're down 1-0 at halftime to Ipswich. But that's when our hero emerges. You see, Southampton does have one very valuable asset. In real life, he's been loaned out, but here, where it matters, he has wandered into the mountains of Chile, and he's found the same secret spring that a young Lionel Messi once drank from on the Chile-Argentina border. The secret spring that gives you all of the footballing ability you could ever dream of. Or in this case, 20 in literally every hidden and non-hidden attribute in the game. The problem for Ben Brereton Diaz is that, well, his flight didn't get back until the second half of this opening match against Ipswich. But once he did, it was showtime. And there is his first goal, 46th minute, but he was not done. Our chosen warrior from the Andes, rising above the fray with his 20 jumping reach, 20 strength, and 20 heading to score again. And then, again, a Ben Brereton Diaz hat trick has inspired a 4-1 win for Southampton, but their next match at Tottenham, surely not. Son Heung-min opened the scoring in the second half, but then it was Southampton ready for a response, and Ben Brereton Diaz that sets it up with a lovely hockey assist. But Southampton hard, and it was 2-1 Tottenham, until our hero strikes again. And then 2 minutes later, in the 87th minute, guess who? That's perfect long shots right there. 2 goals in the final 5 minutes to win 3-2 at Tottenham, and Southampton is now second in the Premier League with 2 wins from 2, and Ben Brereton Diaz has 5 goals in 2 matches. But there's a problem. He only has these magic powers for 5 years before they wear off forever. So we're gonna see in 5 years if Ben Brereton Diaz can lead Southampton not just to not getting relegated, but to a Premier League title. And we'll see if they can win any other trophies, and also if Ben Brereton Diaz wins any individual awards. In the 5 years, well, it's already started. Here we go. And while I'm in this time warp, allow me to tell you about the new way for you to pick your Football Manager save. The sponsor of today's video, Surprise Shirts. There's a lot of mystery box jersey companies out there, but Surprise Shirts offers a special tick box for Football Manager players called the FM Edition. It's right here on the checkout screen. And when you tick this FM Edition, they will only send you a mystery shirt that is playable in the base game of Football Manager. There is quite literally no better way to pick a random FM save than Surprise Shirts FM Edition. Of course, they also have a standard edition that can give you plenty of shirts that aren't in Football Manager as well, and they go from extra small to 5XL, so they definitely have your size. And of course, as part of this sponsorship, there's a code that can get you a discount. The code is Z10, Z-E and the number 10. That gets you 10% off if you just want to go with the FM Edition. But there's another code, ZE20, Z20. This gives you 20% off the first shirt in a monthly subscription, and you get a shirt for free after your 12th order as a part of the subscription. And whether you're doing the FM edition or the standard edition, whether you're doing a subscription or not, there is a little section where you can tell them exactly the teams that you don't want, just in case there are certain shirts that you really don't want. And if you want, you can also pick your level of obscurity, which is just fantastic. So if you need help picking your FM save, grab the FM edition at the link in the description and be sure to use the codes to make sure you get a discount. I got an FM edition right here. Look. It came with gummy bears. Nice. Cagliari. But thank you to Surprise Shirts for sponsoring this video, and this is a very cool idea, the whole FM thing. Ooh, look. Goals! Just kidding. Made you look. 1-0 loss to Bournemouth is actually how we return. Ben Brereton Diaz didn't score at all. But he did score the 89th minute winner against Brighton in the League Cup second round, so there's an opportunity to win a cup right away. But the good times for Ben Brereton Diaz and the boys, they would not last. In fact, the team fell into an incredibly bizarre malaise. Eliminated by Portsmouth in the League Cup, and then a huge stretch of just not being able to score a goal at all, which is weird. Lost 1-0, 0-0, 2-1 win, 1-1, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 1-1. 1-0 win, 0-0. And then out of the FA Cup against Blackburn. Because there's one really significant problem. Southampton when Ben Brereton Diaz doesn't play. He didn't play in this game, and that's when they're bad. It is now January, and Southampton is in fact so bad that even though they have a literal perfect player on their team, he's only averaging a 7.36 rating with 10 goals in 20 matches. And the team with their truly incredible number of draws is sitting in 11th. But that wouldn't stop the Ben Brereton Diaz heroics, because Southampton needs those heroics even against the worst team in the league. Down 2-0 to Ipswich late, it's a delivery from Ben Brereton Diaz that sets up a goal to start a miraculous comeback. Then in the 89th minute, it's Ben Brereton Diaz. We're still tied. How about the 96th minute? It's a takeaway by Ben Brereton Diaz, and he just slots it home. This whole season's about survival, and after 30 matches, Southampton's on 44 points, and Ben Brereton Diaz does have 23 goals to lead the league. And with the new European place system, there was a chance that if Southampton managed to finish in 8th and all of the cup winners were in the top 7, that they could actually sneak into Europe. They're only 1 point off of it right now. And that's when you need your heroes to show up the most. Like Kamaldeen Sulemana. He bagged 2 goals in a 2-0 win over Arsenal. Oh, and Will Smallbone, who scored a 98th minute winner against Fulham. It's Armstrong, it's Siguara, it's Smallbone! Oh my goodness me! Then how about away against Manchester United, where the Red Devils outshot Southampton 26-4, but it didn't matter. It's Brereton Diaz. It's still Brereton Diaz! Oh, he's stolen it! 4 matches to go and 4 points clear in 8th place, which might just be good enough for Europe. Also, totally unrelated to Ben Brereton Diaz or anything, but Villa's in 1st place right now. Southampton would win 2 of its last 4, including a win in the last match of the season against Brentford, to round out an 8th place finish on goal difference. This somehow pales in comparison to the fact that Aston Villa actually won the Premier League in the opening season of this simulation. 5 points clear of Liverpool, United, Arsenal, 6 clear of Tottenham, and 7 clear of City. Ben Brereton Diaz has won his inaugural Golden Boot with 26 goals over the course of the season, 5 ahead of Erling Haaland and Evan Nielsen. There's one other big development. Arsenal won the FA Cup. Manchester City won the League Cup, and that meant that the 8th spot in the Prem qualified for Europe. That meant Southampton qualified for Europe in its first season with Ben the Magic Man Brereton Diaz by 6 on the goal difference. I don't know if this team's ready to handle that kind of rigor yet, but we'll go ahead and class that as an accomplishment that Ben Brereton Diaz has helped pull off for his team. 4 years to go. Year 2 started off with a 2-1 win at Burnley and a victory over Sarajevo in the 4th qualifying round of the Conference League, because apparently they had to go through that. But losses to Man City and Arsenal show that there is still a ways to go. Now, Brereton Diaz did score 3 goals in those 2 losses, of course, so he's not losing pace. In fact, after just 5 matches, Southampton sits in 7th place, and Ben Brereton Diaz has 11 goals. The only problem is, Ben Brereton Diaz is not even first in the Golden Boot race, because Erling Haaland also has 11 goals in 5 matches with a 9.65 average rating. Ben Brereton Diaz, on the other hand, sitting at 8.88. But with box scores like this, Southampton might be in for something special this year. By January, it was clear that was true. Southampton finished 2nd in the Conference League table behind Torino, unbeaten in 6 matches with 14 points. So straight to the round of 16 with European glory potentially awaiting our heroes. The only problem for this team, of course, is still the matches that Ben Brereton Diaz is not playing, and that included a very early 2-0 loss to Burton Albion in the League Cup. So no Magic Cup runs. But by this time in January, they'd proven they'd managed to overcome this issue, because even though, as part of being the perfect player, we had set Ben Brereton Diaz's injury proneness to literally 1. For reference, Reece James is 17 out of 20. The amount the team was using him was leading to catastrophic injuries. He broke his foot in September and then broke his ankle in November. He didn't play a second in the Conference League stage, and they still finished 2nd. And despite those 2 massive injuries, Southampton was now in 4th. They were almost playing better without him. Ben Brereton Diaz would finally return from his injuries at the end of March, playing through his still orange injury marker to score a goal against Nottingham Forest. Oh, Oh, it's Brandon Diaz! Still injured. They just can't wait to play him because he's so good. The team is also still in the Conference League, having beaten Rapid Vienne in the round of 16. Just to update you on the other cup, they did lose in the 5th round of the FA Cup on penalties to Bristol City, and that was all without Ben Brereton Diaz, so they were never going to win it anyways. The performance in the league without him, though, truly remarkable. With 8 matches left to go, sitting in 7th position ahead of Liverpool somehow. But unfortunately, it seems because of the injuries, Ben Brereton Diaz wasn't able to help out in the Conference League, and they got smacked in the first leg against Anderlecht 4-1, all but sinking their hopes. But unfortunately, before they could get to that tie against Anderlecht, because they were trying to play Ben Brereton Diaz through his previous injury, he damaged his Achilles, knocking him out for the rest of the year. Now, his attributes are locked, so he's not going to get a lot worse because of these injuries, but Southampton is quite literally flying too close to the sun. It was a season of what could have been. Despite all of the injuries to Ben Brereton Diaz, Southampton managed to still finish in 9th and make it to the quarterfinals of the Europa Conference League. But next year, they would need a healthy Ben Brereton Diaz, and they would only be able to focus on the league, having been knocked out of European places by West Ham. Man City restored order and won the league, by the way. Villa finished 6th. But so far, 2 years, only 1 award and no trophies. Just the golden boot for Ben Brereton Diaz. Now, Brereton Diaz would start the new season healthy, but it was an awful start with blowout losses to Arsenal, Manchester City, and then a 1-0 loss at Everton. The only bright spot being a dominant win in the League Cup 2nd round against Newport County that Brereton Diaz wasn't even a part of. It's starting to look like giving the best possible player to Southampton still doesn't help that much. But after the abysmal start with 4 losses in 5 and the only win coming against Bristol City, they started to figure it out. A 4-1 win against Aston Villa, a 2-0 win against Liverpool, draws against Tottenham and Manchester United, a 2-1 win against Chelsea. And then finally, Ben Brereton Diaz started to look like his old self in a road trip to Stoke. The Magic Man scored not 1, not 2, but 3 goals in the first 20 minutes. He followed that up with another hat trick in the next match against Bournemouth. And after the terrible start, Southampton managed to move itself all the way up into 8th place by the end of November. But Ben Brereton Diaz was still not catching Erling Haaland, the reigning Golden Boot winner, who had 18 goals in 12 matches, while Ben Brereton Diaz had just 12 goals in 12 matches. But the cups were still hard to find. In the League Cup quarterfinal in December, a penalty shootout loss to Chelsea would keep Southampton away from that magic run. Except they were on a magic run. It was just in the league. In fact, after losing 4 of their first 5 in the league, now that we're in January, they still haven't lost another league game. Southampton's in 3rd. The only unfortunate thing is they've run into a rampant Tottenham side that is 13 points ahead of them and has only lost 1 of its first 19 matches. In each of the past 2 seasons, Southampton would absolutely be in the running for a league title right now. It's just not. But for some reason, the Cups continue to be a sore spot. They rest him. They rest him for the Cups. Despite taking an early lead, they lost their first FA Cup match to Crystal Palace. It's a mistake at the back for Southampton. 1-1. The pressure's on here. It's Wharton. Got in. SSA! He's headed it home to break Saints' hearts. On the bright side, this meant that Southampton just had the league to focus on with a potential Champions League berth on the line. Or maybe even more. They would lose away to Villa and away to Tottenham, which basically sunk their title chase. But as you can see from this schedule, they went on a brilliant run towards the end of the season and put themselves in 2nd place. And Tottenham, well, they were Tottenhaming. In their last 17 matches, they lost 7 of them to close the gap at the top of the table to 4 points. And Ben Brereton Diaz had been on a rampage. 32 goals so far in 36 matches. 2 matches to go. Nottingham Forest and Brentford. Tottenham had Bristol City and West Ham, and they can't win either of them. The problem is they just went out and beat Bristol City, resigning Southampton to its fate of finishing miraculously 2nd in the league with 78 points. Tottenham tried to bottle it, but they couldn't go all the way, with their one huge win over Southampton late in the season being the whole difference. But it's safe to say that Southampton is here to stay now. A healthy Ben Brereton Diaz dropping 32 goals over the course of the whole season and winning his 2nd Golden Boot award. And Southampton would be playing Champions League football next season. And the next season's start would look special. Everton, 6-2 on the road with a hat trick from Ben Brereton Diaz. Chelsea at home, 2-0 with 2 goals from Ben Brereton Diaz. Man City on the road, the reigning champs, 2-1 win on the road with a goal from Ben Brereton Diaz. In the first ever Champions League appearance for Southampton, they beat Red Bull Salzburg 2-1. But some inconsistencies plagued their path, like a loss at Brighton, inexplicably. They still needed the hard carry from their star boy, but he's of course more than capable of providing that. And that inconsistency killed them in the cups again, losing in a penalty shootout against Manchester City in the League Cup 4th round. Ben Brereton Diaz missed his penalty. The perfect player still misses pens. But in the league, they were still holding strong. 23 points in 11 matches had them running right around the top of the league with Man United, Chelsea, West Ham, and Wolves. By January, Southampton had settled into the Champions League with 2 matches to go, sitting on 12 points and 6 points clear of the drop out of qualification, where, you know, kind of like real life, Manchester City was flirting with for some reason. And their January overall was ridiculous. A separating month in the Premier League that allowed Southampton to stay within 4 points of a suddenly rampant Manchester United. And Ben Brereton Diaz was chilling on 20 goals after 20 league matches. Maybe finally he'd get some respect. The poor guy, outside of 2 golden boots, hadn't won any other awards. No Ballon d'Ors, no FIFA Men's Player of the Year. He hadn't even made the FIFA Team of the Year. We're in season 4. The sore spot continues to just be the cups, inexplicably losing 1-0 at home against Leyton Orient in their first FA Cup match. And it's not like this is the same Southampton we started with. They have Ramsdale, Domenico Berardi, Mikhailo Mudryk, Mateusz Nunes, Curtis Jones, Folarin Balogun. Renato Sanchez is on this team. The success they've had over the last couple of years has led to them adding some serious talent. They just still can't make a deep cup run to save their life. But the Champions League is still in play, and so is the Premier League. The Champions League phase ended with Southampton in 12th, meaning they had to go through the extra knockout round, where they would be drawn against Lazio. After a 2-1 loss in Rome, they were inspired by 2 goals from Ben Brereton Diaz to take home a 5-0 win and go to the round of 16 against Atalanta. A 1-1 scoreline sends it to a penalty shootout, and Ben Brereton Diaz is able to score his first penalty this time, and Southampton wins the shootout, making it to the Champions League quarterfinals. The problem is, while this was going on, they actually lost 3 consecutive Premier League matches to Tottenham, Bournemouth, and then Nottingham Forest. Overall, they lost 4 of 5 Premier League matches, a disastrous little performance. But now it was time for the Champions League quarterfinal, and in a continuation of playing Italy's greatest hits, Southampton was drawn against Inter. The first leg was at home, and all the optimism was there to be had for Southampton. Oh, they're looking for Brereton Diaz. It's been taken away. It's Thuram. It's Barella, and Inter has grabbed the momentum inside 4 minutes. DiMarco, Guendouzi. It's Lautaro Martinez! And it's 2-0 to Inter in Southampton. A painful 2-0 home loss they weren't able to overturn. And after that poor run of results, they'd fallen all the way to 5th in the league, chasing and looking up at Bournemouth of every... I have no idea what's going on in this save, but Bournemouth is unstoppable right now. They've been winning nearly every match to climb themselves up. As recently as match day 29, they were all the way down in 5th, and now they've just shot themselves up into 1st. Who knows? See, for Ben Brereton Diaz and the boys, this is just depressing. They were in 1st for a few match days. The end of the season would actually go quite well. They drew against Norwich, but then beat Arsenal, Wolves, Aston Villa, and Leeds to bring it home at the end of the season. That draw against Norwich, though, would be looked back upon with excruciating pain, because the entire league melted away around them. And if they had managed to beat Norwich in that one match, they would have won the league. The plus 46 goal difference that was the best in the entire league, they lost by a point to Bournemouth, who had a plus 20 goal difference. And ironically, after a loss to Brighton on the penultimate match day, they beat Norwich on the final match day in order to clinch the league title. Villa, City, Tottenham, and then Bournemouth are the 4 league winners, and Southampton miraculously has finished 2nd twice. And Ben Brereton Diaz delivered a 35-goal season in a Champions League quarterfinal. But there was only 1 year left of his superpowers from the fountain of ability in the Andes. Would he finally be able to take Southampton to a trophy? I mean, if Tottenham could do it. After his latest season, he was finally awarded with a spot in the Team of the Year. 42 goals in 42 competitive matches is good enough for that, yet somehow that's only 2 more goals than Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe managed to score over the course of the season. He also won the 2026 FIFA Pro Player of the Year. So it took 4 years, but our perfect player, Ben Brereton Diaz, has turned into an international award winner. The Ballon d'Or, though, which had been won by Erling Haaland in consecutive seasons, was still up for debate. In this final season, Southampton would have a chance at the Champions League, both of the English Cups, and of course, the elusive Premier League title. But in the Champions League, things were going much better. Ben Brereton Diaz was on fire. They won their first 3 matches, including against Bayern Munich. Oh, Brereton Diaz, he's in behind! And you just know what's gonna happen from there. It was a very difficult draw against defending league champions Bournemouth, and Ben Brereton Diaz would score a penalty early in the game to put Southampton up 1-0. But Evan Nielsen, who's been one of the best strikers in the world in this save, managed to score the equalizer, sending us to a penalty shootout where Ben Brereton Diaz did score, but Southampton did lose, meaning in all 5 years, they never got past the quarterfinal of the League Cup. That dream is dead. And in the Premier League, Southampton was sputtering. By January, they'd slipped all the way to 7th, winning 9 of their first 20 matches. Brereton Diaz, despite having no serious injuries, only had 7 goals. And yes, he is still literally a perfect player. The team was just mostly focused on the Champions League, which Southampton had managed to pull itself up into 2nd in, only dropping points in a draw at Bayer Leverkusen. But random league results like a draw at Ipswich, a loss at Burnley, a loss at Nottingham Forest, and at Everton were haunting Southampton. Maybe the FA Cup could offer redemption. They would at least win in the first round against West Brom, courtesy of a Mykhailo Mudryk goal. Sorry, I know it's the 3rd round, but you get it. The news did also come through that Ben Brereton Diaz, despite winning FIFA Player of the Year and making Team of the Year, did not win the Golden Ball, the Ballon d'Or. He finished 3rd behind Mbappe and Haaland, rigged. But with a real now or never sense to it, Southampton started to pick up steam, winning a rash of matches in the Premier League, including Newcastle and Liverpool, drawing City and Chelsea, and getting to the 5th round of the FA Cup. But when the Champions League round of 16 draw came through, the groans began. PSG. The first leg of the round of 16 was in Paris, and PSG's lineup was insane. Phil Foden started the scoring inside 20 seconds. Then a goalkeeping mistake from Ramsdale, who needed some Subway Surfer on the side of the screen, gave Jamal Musiala the 2nd goal. Vitinha scored the 3rd, and it was 3-0 to PSG after the first leg. But at home, Southampton would not go away. It's Brereton Diaz! Oh, it's spectacular from Ben Brereton Diaz! The hour is late now for Southampton. It's Mateus Nunes. He scored! And they've got a chance now, down a goal with minutes to play. But there would be no more chances, and Southampton was out in the round of 16, 3-2 to maybe the most talented team on the planet. But that somehow paled in comparison to their FA Cup quarterfinal against Luton Town. Southampton trying to make a run at a FA Cup title. They've got the FIFA World Player of the Year, Ben Brereton Diaz. But it's Jones, it's Maddison, and it's 1-0, Southampton leads. Luton Town, Adebayo, wide for Doughty. Doughty shoots and scores, and it's 1-1. Luton Town alive at home. Towards Chong at the back post. He's onside, it's 2-1. Brereton Diaz, Renato Sanchez, brilliant. Great response out of the half. It is 2-2, Elonga. For Luton Town, McCrory, Adebayo! Oh, that's wonderful! 3-2! They need a goal, they've got 10 minutes to find it. Taze, Maddison, he shoots it! Oh, what a strike by Maddison! 3-3! Extra time, Luton Town trying to pull off the upset. Ogbene towards Harris! It skips through! They have the lead! Just minutes to play. Brereton Diaz, no! Porro! Is he onside? He is! 5 minutes to win it. Brown on the run. Who's he gonna find? It's the man! It's Ben Brereton Diaz! And they are going to the FA Cup semi-final. Unbelievable! It's their deepest cup run of all 5 years in the final season. 12 points off Tottenham with 8 matches to go. It doesn't look like they're gonna get that elusive league title, but they could get this. The semi-final against Arsenal. Brereton Diaz. It's in towards Inacio! 1-0! Southampton! The second half here, they're looking for the dagger. It's Renato Sanchez. Gives it back to Brereton Diaz! Oh! Spectacular! From FIFA's best player. Setting up an FA Cup final against Tottenham. A chance in his final match for the blessed Brereton Diaz to provide Southampton with a trophy. The Premier League season comes to a close, and Brereton Diaz did rebound, finishing with 25 goals, but losing the Golden Boot to Erling Haaland and dragging Southampton back into the Champions League places. Tottenham won the league on 81 points, and they were hunting for the domestic double as we headed to Wembley for Ben Brereton Diaz's final match as the perfect player for Southampton. Unbelievable experience for Tottenham. Kulusevski. It's Kulusevski. Udogie. Bissouma. Bissouma looking. Johnson. Pedro. Oh, cleared away, but not too far. Yves Bissouma. Pedro Porro. Sarr. Udogie. Oh, this is brilliant. Sarr, and it's a goal for Tottenham! In the cup final. That is wonderfully worked. And the great Ben Brereton Diaz trying to finally bring a trophy to Southampton. There's been nothing in this match. Kulusevski driving forward. Pedro Bissouma. Kulusevski tackled away. It's over the bar. Very nearly. Just moments left now in this final. It's Elliott! Oh! He could have done something special, but that's it. It's over, and Tottenham has won, and Ben Brereton Diaz retires trophyless with Southampton, despite achieving multiple massive personal accolades. The man that drank from the fountain of ability. Ben Brereton Diaz could not bring Southampton all the way to a trophy, but he certainly left them way better off than they are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on stream. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, and you can keep watching videos too. This is where I put a random perfect player on the worst team in the entire game. It's a very fun ride. Hope you enjoy it.